Savita ma'am, shall we begin?
Yes, ma'am, we shall.
Now, 1 minute, ma'am. I'll just
1 minute
start
more,
the live
okay?
stream.
Yes,
Okay.
Walter. Yes, Walter.
No, we can
Okay.
start, ma'am. We can start. I just
Okay, Walter.
Check with the
start the
Start
speaker,
the live streaming.
Dr. Santosh.
Sir,
Yeah.
Shall we start?
with your permission, shall we start, sir?
Please go ahead. I have no issue.
Okay, sir.
Okay.
Okay, sir. Walter, shall we begin? You started the recording, I hope.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. The Department of English and Other Foreign Languages, SRM Institute of Science and Technology, Ramapuram campus welcomes you all to the 7th day of the 8-day online FDP on research, publication, and patent in sciences and humanities. Today, we have a resourceful speaker from BITS Pilani, Hyderabad, Dr. Santosh Mahapatra, who is going to deliver a lecture on research writing, publishing, and academic integrity. I'm very glad to extend my hearty welcome to our guest speaker today. I hope the audience would be eager to listen to you, sir. The quote I saw in his profile page, true knowledge lies in being humble and kind. I think this quote speaks of his disposition. The readiness with which he has accepted our invite bears testimony to it. Thank you so much, sir. We are indeed proud to have such a resource person in our midst today. Thank you and welcome you to the forum. I'm equally delighted to welcome all our department faculty members and faculty and scholars from all over the country to this session today. Now I request my colleague and co-convener, Dr. Savita, to introduce the speaker of today's session to the virtual gathering. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Good evening, everyone. I'm happy to present before you the chief guest of today's session, Dr. Santosh Mahapatra, Assistant Professor at BITS Pilani, Hyderabad campus. He teaches academic English courses to UG, PG, and PhD students and supervises doctoral students in English language education and applied linguistics. His research interests are teacher development, language assessment, technology integration, and language policy. He has published in international journals and presented in international conferences. He has been invited by several national and international institutions to deliver talks and conduct workshops. Santosh has completed several projects funded by the British Council. He is the joint PI for Digital India Fund, a British Council funded project worth more than 20 lakh. It's an honor to have such a reputed academician with us today. I welcome you, sir, and request you to take over the forum. Over to you, sir.
Thank you so much for your kind words. Sounds too much for me, but anyway. Actually, I shared the introduction. I was not thinking about it. I just wrote what I had before. I just cut and paste. So now I realize that it is kind of,
so much of projects, right, with the British Council.
I was talking on too many.
Yeah, when I was surfing about your information, I found a lot more projects that under the British Council, right?
Okay, so let's begin. I'll share my screen and let's get started. This will be a short presentation. It won't be no elaborate or anything. And you must, I'm asking all of you, all the participants, to excuse me if you think that it's not adequate or it's not sufficient. I should have spoken more on some topic or focused more on something. I may not meet all your expectations because there are 207 people. So you may have 207 sets of expectations I may not be able to meet. But I am open to discussions. I'm open to responding to your mails or any message. If you can do that, then we can take it forward. I'll be very happy to talk to you. And so we'll have like 15 minutes, I think. Ma'am, Nagamani ma'am, is 15 minutes. Savita ma'am, it's 15 minutes.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So we'll have 15 minutes at the end of this talk, and then
Yes, we can go for the Q&A.
okay. So let me share my screen with you. Is it visible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, so we'll be talking about research writing, publishing, and academic honesty. And I would, before we talk about more things, few things to talk about as part of this webinar. But before we do that, I would want you to respond to some of my queries regarding academic honesty. I mean, like, if I get to know a little more about what you think about academic honesty, it'll help me, pitch the webinar at a proper level, and also we'll have better discussion. So I'll do that. So what I'll do, I'll share one more screen on which can you respond to this one second. Yeah. Can you respond to this query? I'm posting it here in chat box. You can access it. You can click on the link and respond to this open-ended question.
Participants, kindly click on the link and give your response so that sir would be able to proceed further with this deliberation.
Yeah, and also it'll be interesting to know what you already know.
Yes, sir.
I may not have to repeat too much. So yeah, if you can respond, this is an open-ended question. You can write whatever you want. You can write and keep your answers very brief. That write what you mean by academic honesty briefly. Acknowledging the use of resources and citing the works used to elaborate, substantiate our work, originality, citation, authentic content with no room for plagiarized material, stay by ethics, purely based on ethics. Wonderful responses, not to copy paste. Right. No idea, plagiarism free, proper response, reference, okay, honesty in all aspects of teaching, learning, and research work. No plagiarism, authentic resources, original research. Lovely. Without plagiarism, not copy, to remain genuine. Doing work according to prescribed norms, being honest, ethical, own research, something that is purely own brain work, not copied from any other source. Okay, sounds good. Work without plagiarism to cite academic honesty. This signifies no plagiarism of any kind. Due acknowledgement. Lovely, yes. Honesty with teaching and learning towards academic actions from our sir. Ethical research without plagiarism, originality, sincere writing. Good, lovely ideas. Ethical research. Beautiful. Wow, so I assume that most of you have a pretty good idea about academic honesty. So yeah, that's really nice. I have one more question. I'll respond to the same link. Just asking you an honest question. If I ask you, have you been academically honest? You can be fair. I mean, I'm not going to tell, I'm not going to know who is who. So you can tell me very, very honestly, even if you are not really honest in your academic practices, I have no issues. Well, somebody should be really honest to say this and not really, okay? Okay, so we have some responses to some extent, mostly very honest people generally. Okay, that's a good thing. Very good thing. Okay, let's move on. Continue with I'll continue with my presentation. Do you want me to share the screen and show you what I'm able to see here? Okay, you are able to see it.
Yes, sir. It is visible there, sir. It is displayed.
Okay. Now the PPT is visible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Perfect. Thank you. Okay, so in this presentation, which will be a not very long, it's shortish presentation. So I'll be talking about, I'll start with what constitutes academic honesty. Most of you have responded to my question. And I think more or less this is what academic honesty means. And we'll talk a little more about honesty. And then we'll talk about how it's what we look for as part of academic honesty in research writing. And then people, and you may see that there are occasions on which you may have violated the codes of academic honesty. So we'll see what we can do about it. And then lastly, we'll talk about some resources using which you can overcome this problem of, you can actually meet the requirements of academic honesty, or you can be academically honest. So there are sources which will help you with that. Let's start with this. So when we talk about academic honesty, the first thing that comes to my mind is who said what and who did what. These are the questions. So whenever you are thinking about honesty, you are aware, okay, if you are honest, or if you have academic integrity, then you know who said what, or you find out who said what and who did what. Because these are the things, once you find out, then you do the next thing. Because first thing is to be aware of who has said this or who has done this. These things are the most important thing. So it starts with doing this extensive reading and knowing about who has done this or who has said this, and have a very good idea about it. Okay. Once you have that, then you go to the next step. That if people have done so much, people have said so much, then what are you doing about it? Then you are building your argument on their arguments. So when I teach our PhD students here, sometimes I see that just when I ask them to write a piece of short review of literature, what they do, they just say that this person said that person said this about the topic. They take any topic and they give it to them, and they write about that topic. This said this, that said this. So they just mention all of that. And that becomes problematic when you are writing, because you are expected to develop your own argument. And then you will ask me, then what do we do with others' arguments or what they have said or what they have done? You can take their arguments or take their ideas, take their words, or take what they have found, and then look at it in the light of what you plan to do. Or you look at it and see, kind of analyze it. See if there are things that you agree with or disagree with, then find a reason why you agree or disagree with. Write an explanation, think about an explanation why you would agree or disagree with. And then try to find out if there is somebody else who has disagreed or agreed with it. Okay, so you can cite them then. And then say that on what condition, what were the conditions, okay, behind this agreement. So you identify those conditions and see if people have talked about those conditions. And then once you identify those conditions, then see that, yeah, these are the conditions, and if these are fulfilled, then this is right. But this person has agreed with only 2 of these conditions, third one has not been agreed. Then what you do, so you build your argument using this, and then identify, when you finish your review of literature, you identify these are the things that have been done, and in this way they have been done. But these are the things which have not been done, and they have been done in some places, but in this way, I will try another way. So you identify, when you are reviewing literature, you identify not only the gaps in the literature, but also how they were done. Okay. Because I deal with applied linguistics and ELT, so I can talk about that. For example, when we were talking about in a recent paper, I can talk about it. If you're from sciences, you have to excuse me. I may use some dumb examples, but you have to excuse me for that. So let's say in one of the papers, last papers, we were looking at e-portfolio assessment for speaking. That was for a PhD student, her paper. So we were thinking about how to write this review. So we saw that e-portfolio or electronic portfolio is used generally for teaching people writing or assessing their writing. And there is, hardly you find papers in mainstream journals who have talked about using e-portfolio for assessing speaking or teaching speaking. So I thought, oh, there is a gap here. So people have not worked on speaking, or it's an underexplored or inadequately explored area. First, we established the utility of e-portfolio without getting into reading or writing or speaking or anything. Finished that, then identified the kind of skills that have been used. So I talked about writing and for what purposes, and then identified that in writing it has been used, but not in speaking. And then what are the benefits of it, but whether those benefits can be applicable to, can be applied to speaking. And then once we identified those, then we said that this has been done in this way and that way. Then we saw that all the research papers that we came across, they have followed survey method. Then we thought that methodologically also we can make an advance. We can advance the methodologically, we can advance, and then we can contribute, we can bring in methodological innovation. So what we did, we said that we will conduct an experimental study and then report it and analyze the data statistically and present it. This is what we did. So we identified as not been used for speaking, not been used for academic speaking skills, not been used at undergraduate level. And India, you don't have much of evidence. And then methodologically, we identified, yeah, this is the case. And then we used an experimental design, which has not been used for portfolio assessment adequate. So we have 2 solid gaps, and then we built on others' work. This is what we are supposed to do. If you are academically honest, you identify all those sources, put them together on your table, and then see where the gaps are, and then build your research on that. This is the second thing. What do we do next? Then when we are taking others' ideas or others, taking others' works and see that they are relevant to our study, and we are building our arguments on their studies or their findings, we are supposed to give them credit for what they have done. So you can say that this has been done by this person, that has been done by that person, and you cite them properly. This word properly is very, very crucial here, because you need to learn the conventions of citation, how to give, properly cite them, which will come. Next one is citation rules. So if you want to give them credit, in some cases you can cite them as, paraphrase what they are saying and cite them. In some cases, you need to do a little more than that, quote their words. In some other cases, you need to go for permission. So it depends. At different levels, you do different kinds of things. So you need to find out kind of citation rules you need to follow, and it will depend a lot on the prescribed journal style. So all journals do not follow the same citation rules. For example, a lot of journals follow APA, some others MLA. In humanities, MLA, and in engineering, it's IEEE, and in social sciences, it's APA, or it could be Harvard, it could be, so one of the styles. So you need to be familiar with they have their books on those style sheets and how citation works for that style sheet. need to read a little carefully and see citation tools. If you are not really keen on reading the entire thing, you have abridged versions plentifully available online. You can search and start reading the citation conventions for the prescribed, style sheet. The last one is accountability, where you are, you know why you are doing something, and you are doing it responsibly. Okay? So here, when you are doing it, you know why you are doing it, how it will benefit you and the field and all that, and you are doing it responsibly. This is something responsible in the sense, you know that this kind of finding reported in this way and done this way will actually bring good things to the field and to the department, to me, to my colleagues. So when you are doing honest work, it's a good thing for the entire community, the people around you, everybody. But when you are not following, you are not being honest, then it may not only hurt you, it may hurt people around, may hurt your institution, bring bad name for your institution and the country, all that. And like when I read about how people plagiarize, how people do things and all on several research papers, and how in science research it's a lot more. I'm not saying that it's much less in social science, but I'm saying those kind of things. So when you are paying to get published and get published in bad journals, where you just cut and paste and paraphrase things and they publish it just like that. So those are dishonest practices. I understand that there might be demands from the institution which can force you to do things. You may not be very good at research. You may be interested in speaking, but they force you to publish articles in journals. And then you are clueless how to do this. Not much help is provided. Not much hand-holding is done. Not many workshops are conducted. So you are clueless what to do. So you go ahead and do what you can do to get yourself published. And the process, you may end up doing something that you may regret later in your life. So, so that's why this session is very important for all of us. And if you already, because there are several sessions in several sessions, people have talked about different things, different aspects of academic writing, publishing, and all. So you may be already familiar with this thing and these things, and I may repeat some of these things. Why we should be academically honest? I think the first thing that comes to my mind is I will have peace of mind. If I am academically honest, I don't have to lose sleep over anything. I'm confident that what I have written is my original thing, not copied from any source, not done anything wrong. Any other idea? Can you write in the chat box? Why else we should be academically honest? Any other reason why we should be academically honest? Can you write in the chat box? Just peace of mind is just one of the things. Anything else? Enhance knowledge, provide the ultimate answer. Okay, anything else? Self-confidence, face people with confidence. That sounds good. Not be held accountable for something bad. Okay, copying doesn't enhance knowledge. Consequences, yeah. Contribute words towards groundbreaking research, yeah. Contributing original work, that makes sense. Enhance confidence level. Good. So for all these in self-respect, I like that. Sanjay, I like this. To avoid further legal consequences, yes, Manisha, you are absolutely right. Yeah, so yeah, all these are very good reasons, yes. So peace of mind is one, and all those things that you talked about, they are all important details. Second thing I can think of is value, because I have certain values. I value my career, value my research, value my institution, value my contribution. So I bring value. So what I do should be important, should be good. So for that thing. And third thing is there is some amount of trust. People trust me, and I want to remain trustworthy. I don't want to break trust, breach trust, and break hearts, and make my institution feel bad about me. So those are the things, probably good reasons to avoid being academically dishonest. So yeah, so we have pretty good reasons, and you talked about so many of them in the chat box, and I agree with all of them. And let's talk about the cases of violation, how it happens and where it happens, what we can do about it. So one by one, okay? Let's talk about violations. Usually when you think about violations, where do you think people violate the principles of academic honesty? Which cases? Anyone? Where do we copy paste? Okay. While writing research, what kind of violations? Bhakti Priya, can you tell us what kind of violation in research paper writing? We are talking about research paper writing or writing your thesis, something like that. If you have not done PhD, yes. Using others' work, okay, people copy, change language. Ethical permission, plagiarism. While writing book, what kind of violation? Present it as their own. Very good, Bhakti. Yes. Anything else? While giving intellectual property. No, where is the violation? Manipulation of results. Absolutely, Sanjay. Good. Simply then modify numbers. Yes. Himavati. Correct. Copying ideas. Yes. Copying ideas is one thing, but not giving credit is another thing. Okay. Not giving credit could be problematic. Anything else? Any other cases of violation you have seen, come across, heard from people? Not referring, okay, not giving, okay, not citing the person, not taking the sole credit. Absolutely, yes. You are right. Failing to acknowledge, yes, Abhilasha, correct. Less passion, you do it. Yeah, good results, but not reporting the negative. Absolutely, spot on, Ankit. Very good. You report only the good results, bad results you don't. Saying that this is successful and this is good. Okay, so let's talk about violations. Okay. So violations could be intentional, violations could be purposeful, or they could be unintentional and accident or accident. Can you give me an example of purposeful or intentional? Or first one, purposeful or intentional? Can you give me an example of that? Violation that is purposeful. You have given me examples of several violations. Can you tell me one? Stealing others. Absolutely, yes. Pawan, right. Okay. What do you mean by stealing? That you can write also. Anything else? Making results for getting type of behavior, not giving credit. Yeah, that is intentional. Ignorance of certain sections of literature review. Yeah, but ignorance, can it be intentional? Think about it, Rachi. Intentional. Sometimes research supervisors themselves do. What do they do? Can you tell us?
Sir, sometimes they take the work of their wards and they publish it as their own. I have heard some people say, but I have not had that bitter experience, but it has happened to somebody else.
Okay.
That's what
Here Himavati is giving up one very good one: maintaining relationship with reviewers or showing bias towards particular kind of people. Let's say you have 5 texts, and ideologically, let's say there is something called rightist and leftist people are there all over the place. So if you are a rightist and you say that I won't cite anybody from leftist people because it goes against my thesis or what I'm planning to do, so you don't cite them, you just ignore them completely. I think that's intentional dishonesty. So you deliberately ignore things, and it happens in social science a lot, where you take up sensitive social issues related to caste, religion, violence, and all. Then sometimes you take sides. You believe personally, you are emotionally attached to that issue. So you take only things that support what you're thinking, and you ignore what you want to, what you should be citing. I mean a counterpoint. Okay, can you give me an example of unintentional violations? You don't, I mean, some violation which you are not really aware, or it's accidental. Anyone? Okay, in paraphrasing, it can be unintentional. Maybe wrong paraphrasing, copying somebody's work. How is it? Errors while conducting experiment can be unintentional. Absolutely, yes. Wrong paraphrasing could be unintentional or accidental. Black patch in the screen. Is there a black patch on my screen? Can you see my screen?
Yes, sir. It is showing like when you had the responses from the participants. No, that
Right now, is it okay?
now it is not seen, sir.
Okay, perfect.
Now it is not seen. Yeah.
So, okay, available data unverified. So there can be, things can be intentional, things can be unintentional. We'll look at some of these. Let's look at them. So getting first one, something, I mean, I will highlight some of the most popular ones so that you are aware and you avoid both the intentional ones and the unintentional ones. If you have been practicing any of those, then you can avoid. Or unintentional ones, it's not that you are aware, but these are the things you can work hard to avoid in future. And all of us are working hard. I truly believe that you are hardworking and you are trying your best to do a good job, and not only for yourself, but also for the institution, for the country, for everybody, people around, and for the field. So getting somebody else to write for you can be serious violation of academic honesty, codes of academic honesty. So something that you can avoid. You might have heard people doing it. Something that you need to avoid, because the punishment can be really, really harsh. And then claiming someone else's words or ideas as your own. You have already talked about it. Somebody said stealing somebody's ideas. Here you take somebody's ideas and put it in your research paper or in your thesis, and then completely ignore the person who has written it. If you do that, that becomes kind of violation, something that you can avoid. Whoever you are taking, cite the person. It's not a bad thing. And to tell you something that will work in your favor, if you cite, if you have a lot of citations, let's say 60 plus citations in an international paper, the reviewers generally feel that you have done really a good job and you know your research, you know the existing literature really, really well. And that gives you some kind of advantage. So why not cite and show the reviewers that you actually know people and their work? So it's good to take ideas from people, but it's better to cite them. The next one is reproducing your own published work. It's called self-plagiarism. And this is rampant among people who are really famous in the field. But sometimes people who are not so famous also end up doing something like that. So you might have seen people taking their own work and taking portions or paragraphs, copying and pasting in another article or another research paper or place, book chapter somewhere. Something that you should avoid. And that is self-plagiarism, and it's considered to be low quality research work. Somebody who is incapable of producing high quality work will go back to his or her own work and take paragraphs or portions and reproduce in another article which gets published. Something that you can really avoid. And the last one is when you include bogus citations. Citations that are forced sometimes. Sometimes citations of the low quality journals which are not really relevant to, which may not have empirical data to back what they are claiming. Something like they just write that this is happening, that is happening in classroom, that is happening, and you quote them. but there is no data to back what they're saying. They have not collected any data, analyzed anything. They don't have any findings, nothing. This is right what is happening in the classrooms, and they leave it there and you cite them. And that becomes problematic. Sometimes you force your own citations, your own work, and cite them where there is no relevance, still you cite them. And that becomes problematic. Sometimes your colleagues say, please cite me, and you cite them. Extremely problematic and highly, very objectionable practice. If not today, tomorrow you will be caught, because there are people are developing software which can catch those kind of things. And if not today, tomorrow, if you practice something like that, maybe software will detect your practices. Maybe you will have to face humility. So why not keep yourself safe and do the right thing right now? Think about it. And then when you work in a group of 3 or 4, and then you claim that you are the sole author. Has it happened to any of you here? Where somebody else claimed a group work, that I have done the entire thing and they take credit, or they force you to give them, authorship. Has anybody faced something like that? Somebody forced you to give the authorship, like make me an author in your research paper. Has it happened to you? No?
I think fortunately no one has had that experience, I believe.
Okay. That's a good thing that it has never happened.
So no.
But I've heard from people, a lot of people on a lot of forums, when they have complained about this kind of thing, that sometimes supervisors force their students to give them authorship. And this is sometimes, this is a kind of practice which is common and people ignore. But this is unfair once again. If you have not done work, if you have not participated, you have not contributed, you should not ask for authorship. Yeah, it's happening, but nobody wants to talk about it. Can happen here. If a lot of supervisors are here, they may feel offended if they see you writing and if they have done it. Possible. But if you are doing it as a supervisor, you can avoid, because that can lead to complications. If not now, the person completes his or her PhD, they can go out and talk about it. And sometimes or else you'll be dragged into some kind of controversy later. So better to avoid that kind of practice. Then in unintentional ones, let's say you think that this is common knowledge, but you don't know that it's not really common knowledge, and you don't cite. Common knowledge is, for example, India is the second most populous country in the world. So, or we have the second highest number of people living in this country, something like that. If you write, you don't have to cite this as such. This is common knowledge. But beyond that, if you are referring to what is the percentage of, let's say, scheduled tribe population in India and all that, maybe it's not so common knowledge. You need to cite source. Maybe good for you. So that can be unintentional or accidental, but can be a tricky thing. It violates academic honesty. The next one is using an author's exact words without citation. So sometimes you take 1 or 2 words. Sometimes people ask me, how many words can I take without citing somebody? There is nothing like that. But if you take key words, you need to cite them. If you are using, let's say, 4 or 5 words at a stretch, maybe it's a good idea to include. But very common words and phrases, maybe you don't have to cite anyone. And this is what I teach and I have learned from my experience and from my readings. I have realized that you don't have to cite if you are using common phrases as such. Let's say the findings indicate that. The findings indicate that. These are 4 words, but there's no problem with plagiarism or anything here. You can write something like that. And you can write that the findings are in line with the those reported by. The entire part can be written, and this is not considered plagiarism, because everywhere people write the same sentence when they are writing the discussion section. So you won't have any trouble. But when you are taking keywords, phrases from an author to do something with this, and your research is related to that area, and you need those words and phrases, probably this can be tricky. Should cite. The next one is bad quality paraphrasing and summarizing. We'll talk about how to overcome those things, but sometimes Tara was talking about earlier, the same thing in the chat box. Talking about bad quality paraphrasing. Sometimes you don't know how to paraphrase it really well. So what do? Paraphrase and submit it, give it to me. But that becomes, sometimes it's bad and it hurts you because you will be considered you will be considered as somebody who has violated the codes of academic integrity. Summarizing, paraphrasing, both. The next one is utilizing sources without the required permission. Sometimes you take a graph, chart, or diagram, you just write their names, and then you realize that it's still, a violation. Why? Anyone? Any guess why that could be a violation? If you have taken a chart, graph, or diagram, cited the person, still it can be a violation. Why? Anyone? I will share the PPT Femina here in the chat box. I will share at the end of the talk. Yes, I'll do that. Copyright issue? Absolutely, yes. Yes, Pawan, that's right. You need to get written permission in many cases. So it depends on the material you are using. Sometimes you need written permission for using charts, graphs, diagrams, poems, lyrics, photographs, clips, audio, video clips, and all those things. Yeah, could be. So be careful with that. Okay. What can we do about it? Anyone? Any suggestions? First, you give me suggestions, then I will think about what we can do about it. What can we do about it? Any suggestions in the chat box? Seek permission, request to the author, third party, okay. Good ideas, yes. Okay. So I will show you, I have some ideas I'll share with you. First one is you need to develop your reading ability. This is what I emphasize with our students here. When I teach research methodology, the writing part, the academic writing, research writing part to our PhD students, I emphasize this thing that I teach them how to do the reading, identify the ideas, cite them, how to do that. So you need to develop your reading ability. I'll share sources using which you can develop your reading ability. You have plenty of solid activities available, which you can use for, I'm talking about for research scholars. If you are already a teacher, you have done it, but still you want to improve it, you can still do it. Because I still learn how to do this really well. And there is no end to learning. So let's believe in that and develop our reading ability. This is something I would do every day. I'm still trying to learn things from a lot of people. You can do the same thing. Second important thing is for me is to learn to paraphrase and summarize well. These are two very important skills and you need to learn. There is a book which I will refer to a little later, which you can refer to. That book trains you really well in paraphrasing and summarizing. I just sincerely hope that you will go back to the book, so identify those pages, complete those exercises on paraphrasing and summarizing. You will feel good about your writing. Trust me, it works really well. It has worked for me and for a lot of other people, so why not for you? And then third thing is to know copyright laws. I'll also share sources using which you can learn more about copyright laws and then identify sources which are copyright free and then do it. I will do that, Tara, definitely. And the last one is familiarity with citation conventions. If you are following a style sheet, make sure that you read their handbook. All style sheets have their handbook. APA has a handbook. APA 7 has a handbook. MLA has a handbook. Harvard, all kinds of citations, they have their handbook. style sheets have. They are kind of solid materials, how to cite. They have given you clearly, they have mentioned. You can follow those conventions and you won't be in any kind of trouble at all. Let's go to the sources. What sources we can use? Let's talk about the first one. For reading and writing, I have this one. And this is the book I was talking about. Can you see the book on screen?
It's visible,
Yes, sir.
sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, this is from a library copy, so I don't know whether it will be accessible to you or not. This is called Academic Writing, a handbook for international students, Stephen Bailey's book. You can take a picture of this if you by chance, if you may forget, you can take a picture of this, a screenshot of this, and keep it. This is perhaps one of the best books I have seen when it comes to paraphrasing and summarizing teaching. The step-by-step exercises are really, really good. And activities, tasks are there, which are solid tasks, and you will learn in no time. So I'll take you there. And the entire book is useful, in fact, for you. So it has topics related to avoiding plagiarism, then note making, paraphrasing, references and quotations, combining sources, organizing paragraphs, which will help you a lot in writing. Okay, and different types of writing also. And this is extremely useful. So if you can catch hold of a copy of this book, this will be really helpful. This is one. I'll go to the next one. And this will teach you reading and writing, a lot about reading and writing. And there are plenty of other books, but I'm just mentioning the best ones which I have come across. And then for micro skills, there is a book by Adrian Wahlberg. I'm taking you there. This is Springer book. Once again, you may have, this is available here on the campus. You may not have access to this, but if you can get a copy of this, this will be extremely useful and tells you the micro level things. I'll show you what I mean by micro level. English for writing research papers, Adrian Wahlberg. Let's look at the front matter. Like planning and preparation. Let's show you the content page. Yeah. Micro is planning and preparation, structuring sentence, word order, and even beyond word order, under word order, there are several things like 18 things, 17, 18 things. It's teaching you structuring paragraphs, and then breaking long sentences, being concise, using vocabulary appropriate for research, and avoiding ambiguity. So this can be an extremely useful handbook for all kinds of research. Even if you are doing well in research, you may still find it very useful. So I'll go back to this. You can go back to this and see if you like what is there. Third one is having a phrase bank, which I refer to, and I told you that it won't be considered plagiarism because these give you, this is from University of Manchester, and it gives you phrases related to being, how you can find, report your findings without being, kind of, what do you call it? Without making sweeping generalizations, which works really well with scientific writing, science writing. Then you can be critical. That works with both science and social sciences or humanities. Classifying and listing, compare and contrast. So if you want to see some of the phrases, I can show you some examples. Yeah, plenty of examples are given. You can use these sentences, and there won't be any problem with plagiarism or anything. These are phrases, common phrases used by everybody. So please make use of these phrases when you are writing. Second book, Uma Maheshwari, you don't worry because I'll share this link to the PPT. You can go back and check all these documents I'm sharing with you. Okay, so absolute nothing to worry. Don't have to worry at all. And the last one is research literacy, where I'm showing you Queen's University Library. They have given several links to things that you need for writing research without getting caught in the process, in the problem of plagiarism or any kind of problem. So you have plenty of information available, which will help you in remaining academically, in maintaining academic integrity and avoiding plagiarism, something you can fall back on. And the last one is why no to Turnitin. I have not talked about Turnitin at all. Okay. The issue is I strongly feel that Turnitin is necessary. Let's say, I'm a thief. And no, let's say I'm a thief. And let's say I'm doing something bad. Okay. Then I need to worry about morality. Okay. But yes, absolutely. Yes, Sanjay. Yeah, all these things that I'm talking about can be included because I'm teaching engineering and science students here, PhD students here, academic writing. So I understand how it works, and these are important documents for writing research papers in science and engineering. Absolutely, yes. So I'm saying that.
Excuse me, sir. That black boxes we can.
Yeah, it's gone.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, whenever I'm taking the chat box, it's showing as a black box. I understand now. So I'm saying that if you are not really stealing anything, then why are you worried about Turnitin? When you are copying and pasting from sources, you are not giving credit, then you worry about Turnitin. I do not encourage my students, or I do not encourage myself to use Turnitin because I know that I'm writing on my own. Why should I go back to Turnitin? But people ask, why not Turnitin if it's available? When you are really, Turnitin will make you lazy. It will make you somebody who is dependent on others' writings. So I always insist on writing originally and avoiding Turnitin because that becomes a bad habit. So that's why I have not used the word plagiarism at all, because I'm talking about how to be honest. You can approach the problem from this side or from that side. You can teach students how to avoid plagiarism, or you can teach them how to be academically honest, how to write well, read well. If you teach them, you don't have to teach them plagiarism. And teaching about plagiarism is it's a very Western way of looking at writing, and it's not really helpful. I'm saying that teach your students how to be academically honest, rather than teaching them how to prevent other people from knowing where you are stealing, which is not a good idea, which is a bad idea. So I would discourage you to go back to Turnitin. I would encourage you to write originally, trust yourself. It is a hard process. Writing is a long, hard process. Take it. But once you learn it, you master it. You don't need anybody else. So go through that process, go learn the hard way, but don't go to Turnitin. It's a bad habit. Trust me, it is. I'm working on technology integration in teaching, in the writing, speaking, and all that. So, but still, I'm discouraging you. So I know I'm PhD thesis you have to attach because this is a mandatory thing, but you don't have to go to plagiarism. You don't have to depend on Turnitin when you are writing. Stop that habit. This is what I'm asking you to do. I think that concludes my session. And if you want to write to me, you can write to me. And this is my email ID. I'll share the email ID here and share the PPT with you. Just give me a second. And if you have any questions, please ask. That's it. Here is the link to the PPT. You can download the PPT and keep a copy of it and make use of all the resources. Please speak a little more about paraphrasing. Can you tell me what exactly you want to know about it? Yeah. Do's and don'ts. In paraphrasing, first thing, there are 4 steps to paraphrasing. Okay. The first thing is, Manisha, for the ELT projects and all, I think it'll be good if you contact me directly. Okay, you can contact me on Twitter, you can email me, or you can contact me on Facebook. I think I'm everywhere, all on social media. So yeah, please contact me. So I'm saying that paraphrasing you can do in 4 steps. In the first step, you identify the key words and phrases, okay, and then find synonyms for all those words, appropriate synonyms. Once you find those synonyms, change them. And the next thing you should do is, change the word order so that you take the first part to the last part, the first part, you can do that. And then before changing the word order, change the word class. That means changing verbs to nouns, nouns to adjectives, adjectives to adverbs. If you change that, you can do that. That will be even better. And then change the position of words and phrases. If you do that, then you get a solid paraphrased version of the original one, and then you can cite the person. Paraphrasing doesn't mean that you won't cite; you will cite, the others. So I would recommend going to Stephen Bailey's book on academic writing and looking at those exercises on on paraphrasing. Those are amazing exercises. They'll give you a very good idea. Raghavi is sharing something already, a PDF. What do you once again, what is the purpose for which you are using Quillboard? Will tell us whether I should use it or not. Okay, sorry. Yeah. So the purpose is important for me. Why you are using something, then only I can talk about I should or not. So I will share with you one more. Just give me a second. And if you have any questions, you can always ask. If it's possible for the organizers to give you,
Yeah, participants, they can unmute themselves and they can ask questions. I think Kartika has raised her hand.
Yes.
Yeah, you can ask, Kartika, if you have a question. There is one more, yeah, please go on.
You can unmute and ask. I have unmuted you. You can ask.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am. Good evening, sir.
Yeah, please.
It's a wonderful. The second time actually I'm listening. My query is to say like Sage and things like that. It's published, but they actually share it with others. They I don't know whether you get
Kartika, we can't hear you. Can you write? Because
Kartika ma'am, can you post a question? Your voice is not audible. It's very much breaking.
Oh, okay.
Post your query. Bhakti Priya ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Good evening,
Yes,
sir.
yes. Make yourself clear, ma'am.
Good evening, sir. I wish to know whether paraphrasing won't amount to plagiarism.
It won't amount to plagiarism because you are able to change their words and phrases. But paraphrasing doesn't mean that you won't cite the original author. You will cite the original author, plus present their ideas using your own words and phrases.
Okay, so thank you.
I have given a mental the link. If you can respond to that. Yeah, please go ahead.
Sir, is my voice clear right now?
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, go on.
I'm sorry, sir. Sir, I published in one of the SAGE journals, Journal of British Journal of Visual Impairment, but they have kept the abstract alive in their online. But they said we have to. I mean, only if I pay, it'll be like open to others. Like that is the case with all the journals, sir. And if I have to pay, it seems I have to pay like 1.5 lakhs. So, is that the case with all the journals, sir?
Most of the journals, yes. But what you can do is before the last version was published, you had an accepted version which you sent to them, right?
Yes, sir.
So what you can do, you have a profile of your own on the university or in the institution page, right?
Yes, sir.
So you can upload that version there and attach it to ResearchGate and other places that they can visit your profile and take that from that. So you can have the final version in your profile which you sent to, not their final version, but the final version which you sent to them.
Okay, sir.
Version, yeah. So that can be uploaded and that is allowed in terms when you sign the agreement, that is allowed.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much, sir. And one more question as well. Last time you told us about Creswell when we talk about quantitative experimental data and things like that. So can you tell me like any books that I can use or I can suggest to my students if they are doing an experimental study in ELT, sir?
You can ask experimental study in applied linguistics. You can ask them to look at Plonsky or Fakiti. Okay, Eight Fakiti is quite famous, and Plonsky is the champion in the field actually. Use Plonsky, Plonsky.
Planosky. Then the other authors are Plonsky and
Fakiti, Phakiti.
Okay. Thank you so much.
People have responded to this. Rank from the most to the least important. Strong paraphrasing and summarizing top. Good reading skills 2. Familiarity with citation conventions 3. 4. Using Turnitin 5. Last one. One more. You can use one word or phrase to talk about how you feel right now. How do you feel? Are you in control? You feel confident about being academically honest, and you feel good about being academically honest? You feel happy about being academically honest? What do you feel about? Can you express right now? After we had some discussions, you have some awareness right now. You may be already knowing. So it may not be directly because of this session. Maybe already you have adequate information about academic honesty. This is just so you can respond to this. The same link I'm sharing with you. Can you respond to this in the Menti?
Hello, sir.
You can write 2-3 words. Okay. Somebody use ethics and confident and happy about it. Okay.
Hello, sir.
Hello, yeah, please go on.
Sir, I'm Sanjay. I'm from engineering field. So I would like to ask you some questions, sir.
Yes, go on.
Sir, if you are having two results that two different ideas are there, and if you are doing some research by amalgamating these two ideas, then how it will affect on the copyright issues as well as the plagiarism issues, sir?
You have two different findings in the same study.
No, sir. There are two researchers who have done two type of researches, and they have found that those two ideas can be used to increase the efficiency of a particular system.
Okay.
Okay. So I am proposing an idea that if you are incorporating these two ideas in the same system, then the efficiency can be further increased. So if you are doing some kind of experiments like this by incorporating these two ideas, then how the work that I have done will whether it will cause any copyright issues or whether it
no, I don't think so. You can always use that.
Okay.
You always bring two ideas together and cite both the sources, say that these are the two findings, and in my study I am proposing I'm proposing to put them together, bring them together and use in my experiment. You can always do that. Yeah, there is no issue of plagiarism at all.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Thank you.
Okay, we have happy, confident, proud, good, satisfactory, Okay, justice to your work. Nice. I'm happy that we are reading very good positive words here, and I'm happy to be here with all of you. And it's good to be here and know what you think, how you're doing, and all that, and stay in touch. I think that's it.
Yes, sir. I think with this we have come to the end of the session. And I'm sure this is the coolest ever session attended by the participants, I would say, because you kept them engaged completely throughout, from the right from the start to till the end. So they were so what shall I say, very comfortable with you, I believe. So they were just pouring in their ideas and asking questions, and your answers to them were brilliant. And I think this is the coolest, again, I'm reinstating, this is the coolest ever session on a very serious topic. So you kept it very interesting. And before closing, let us move on to the formal vote of thanks. I request my colleague, Dr. Walter Hugh Parker, to propose the vote of thanks. Walter, over to you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, ma'am. It gives me great pleasure to give the vote of thanks today to at the end of what I believe was a really very engaging session on day 7 of the 8-day online faculty development program organized by the Department of English and Other Foreign Languages, SRMIST Ramapuram. I would like to thank and place on record my sincere appreciation to the management of SRMIST who have offered their support to conduct this program. I would like to take this opportunity to thank Dr. Santosh Mahapatra for his extremely insightful lecture. It is indeed an honor to have you with us, and as Dr. Nagamani ma'am said, it was the most interactive session, the coolest session most probably in this so far in this FDP. Really, it was mind-blowing to say the least. The ideas presented and the answers to the questions, everything was really good, and it's a sort of a feel-good kind of session for us. So thank you so much, sir, for that. And I would also like to thank the head of our department, Dr. Rama, who could not be with us today, but who is always guiding and supporting all our initiatives and encouraging us. I also thank the co-conveners of the FDP, Dr. Nagamani and Dr. Savita, who have been working relentlessly towards the smooth conduct of the entire program. I would like to thank all the colleagues of the Department of EFL, SRMIST Ramapuram, and last but not least, I thank each and every participant for making today's session a great success with your most interactive kind of participation and cooperation. Thank you, one and all.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Thank
much,
you.
sir, for being with us. Savita ma'am, thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Sir left the meet.
Yes, I think he left the meet.
Okay.
I posted the feedback link on YouTube as well. Here also I posted it. I think once again I'll do it now.
Shall I leave?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
You carry on, ma'am. Walter, just post it once more on YouTube also.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Participants, you need not worry about previous days feedback and all. Sanjay, sir, you need not bother about the previous day's feedback, sir. Please join us for tomorrow. Walter, 7:10, we will wind up.
Okay, ma'am.
Yes, Walter.
I think
all
everyone
would have
would
got
have
the. Yes, we will wind up. Thank you, Walter.